Captain Jack Ryden stared at the glowing message on his ship's console, his eyes narrowing as the official summons blinked steadily. It was an invitation. No, more than that. A challenge from the Starborn Confederacy, a species known across the galaxy for their otherworldly beauty and telepathic elegance. The Starborn were legends whispered about in every starport, creatures of light and grace who danced among the stars like living constellations. And now, here was their envoy inviting him, the captain of the human starship Pioneer, to their homeworld. Jack's lips curled into a wry smile. A cosmic invitation, huh? Or maybe a test to see if humanity's more than just a bunch of tough meatbags. He leaned back, fingers tapping rhythmically against the console. Humans were new to the galactic stage, rough around the edges, yes, but tough, stubborn, and more than a little gifted in ways many aliens didn't expect. The Pioneer slipped quietly through the void, heading toward the glowing world at the heart of starborn space. As Jack's ship approached the shimmering city that floated among the clouds like a dream made real, he felt a strange mix of excitement and challenge. This wasn't just a diplomatic mission. It was something deeper. A chance to prove that humanity wasn't just worth visiting but worth loving. When he stepped onto the starborn ship, the air itself seemed to shimmer with a subtle energy. The walls pulsed softly with light, and faint music drifted like a gentle breeze through the corridors. Then he saw her, Lyra, the envoy, gliding toward him with the grace of a dancer and the calm authority of a queen. Her skin was silver blue, almost translucent, catching the light like finely polished crystal. 4 slender arms moved fluidly as she approached, and her eyes, large, luminous with a hint of violet, studied him carefully. Jack felt a jolt, part surprise, part something he couldn't quite name. Lyra was beautiful, yes, but there was more beneath the surface. A quiet power, and a spark of curiosity that matched his own. "Captain Ryden," she said, her voice a soft melody in the quiet room. "Welcome to the Starborn Confederacy." Jack bowed with a grin. "Pleasure's mine, Lyra. Heard a lot about your people. Guess I'm here to show you humans are more than stories and rumors." Lyra's smile was mysterious. "Stories only tell part of the truth. You must prove it." As the days passed, Jack learned the Starborn were not like any species he'd met before. Their telepathic abilities allowed them to share feelings without words, a delicate dance of emotions and thoughts. But their physical forms were fragile, their intimate rituals subtle and gentle. Jack, a man used to straightforward strength and passion, was both fascinated and amused. "You humans are something else," Lyra confessed one evening as they floated through the ship's biogarden, a place where glowing flowers bloomed under soft starlight. "Your intensity, your stamina, it's unlike anything we have." Jack chuckled. "Yeah, well, I guess we've got a few things going for us. Maybe our biology is just built for more fire." That fire soon became impossible to ignore. The tension between them, at first polite and formal, turned electric. Jack noticed how Lyra's eyes lingered a bit longer on him, how her touch trembled slightly when their hands brushed. And when they finally met in private, the gulf between their species' biology became clear. His size and strength overwhelmed her delicate frame, awakening something deep and wild inside them both. Lyra was captivated, not just by his passion, but by the way his human body seemed designed for closeness and endurance, a sharp contrast to the gentle touch her people prized. Jack, in turn, found himself drawn to her grace and mystery, eager to explore the limits of their differences. This wasn't just attraction, it was a collision of worlds, a test of what it meant to be alive, to connect beyond barriers. The Starborn, proud and reserved, and the humans bold and unrestrained. The galaxy held its breath as these two souls challenged expectations, turning a diplomatic mission into something dangerously beautiful. Yet beneath the growing passion, there was a current of tension. The Starborn Council watched closely, skeptical of this unpredictable human captain. Some whispered that humanity was too wild, too primitive to be trusted. But Lyra defended Jack fiercely, seeing in him a strength that could save her people. a vitality their delicate species desperately needed. Jack understood then that this invitation was more than a test. It was an opportunity. To change minds, to bridge cultures, and to prove that humans were not only worthy allies, but partners capable of passion, loyalty, and love across the stars. As the Starship Pioneer glided through the Starborn's radiant cityscape, Jack Ryden and Lyra stood together, the future of two species, and perhaps a galaxy, hanging on the fragile thread of desire and diplomacy. And neither of them would back down from what was about to ignite. Stay tuned, because when human fire meets alien grace, the universe itself can never be the same. Captain Jack Ryden had never met anyone quite like Lyra. She moved through her world as if she belonged to a different rhythm, one that flowed like water, soft, controlled, and endlessly graceful. The Starborn ship itself seemed an extension of her, all shimmering surfaces and gentle light, designed for beauty and peace. Jack, on the other hand, was a man who lived for action, for the pulse of a mission, and the unpredictable chaos that came with being human. Their first formal meeting was held in the ship's central chamber, a vast room that resembled a garden frozen in time. Strange plants with glowing leaves curled around crystalline pillars, while soft pulsing light bathed everything in an ethereal glow. The air smelled faintly of something sweet and alien, and Jack found himself oddly captivated. Lyra greeted him with a slight bow, her forearms folding delicately in front of her. "Captain Ryden, we are honored by your presence. Our people have long watched humanity from afar. Your species' reputation precedes you, a blend of tenacity, ingenuity, and unexpected vitality." Jack smiled, feeling the weight of her words but also the warmth beneath them. "I'm glad we've made a good impression. We humans have a way of surprising people, sometimes even ourselves." Their conversation flowed easily, but beneath the diplomatic pleasantries a subtle dance began, a give and take that went beyond words. Jack noticed the delicate way Lyra's eyes would flicker when their hands nearly touched, the faintest blush that tinted her translucent skin. The Starborn were telepathic, able to sense emotions with a mere glance, and Jack could feel her curiosity rising like a tide. One evening, Lyra invited Jack to explore the ship's biodomes, a sprawling network of gardens that simulated countless alien ecosystems. As they walked beneath alien stars and bioluminescent trees, Jack teased, "So, what's it like being this graceful race of star dancers? I bet humans would look like clumsy oafs." Lyra laughed, a sound like wind chimes. "You underestimate yourselves, your passion, your strength. It is rare and powerful. Yet our people are fragile. We do not possess your endurance."
"Intimacy for us is a quiet art, a whisper rather than a shout." Jack's grin widened. "Sounds like you need a crash course in human persistence." Their laughter mingled, but soon the conversation took a more intimate turn. Lyra spoke
Openly of her people's biology, how their delicate forms meant they experienced pleasure in subtle waves, a far cry from the raw physicality humans embraced. Jack found himself fascinated, imagining how their bodies could learn from each other. And then there was the undeniable difference. Humans, with their larger physical forms and greater stamina, naturally outmatched the Starborn in certain departments. Jack could see how Lyra's eyes widened when she realized just how much bigger and more enduring he was. It wasn't just size. It was a kind of vitality that her people hadn't felt in generations. That night, in the soft glow of the biodome, something shifted between them. Their official roles as envoy and captain blurred into something raw and urgent. Jack reached out, his fingers brushing Lyra's delicate skin. She shivered, the touch electric. Her telepathic sensitivity caught the surge of desire and excitement swirling between them, a storm beneath the calm surface. Jack's voice dropped low, teasing yet tender. "You sure you want to test human endurance, Lyra? It's not for the faint of heart." She smiled, eyes sparkling with a mixture of challenge and invitation. "I want to understand you, to feel the fire you carry inside. That fire burned bright as they moved closer, bodies learning a new language beyond words. Jack's strength enveloped her fragile form, and she discovered sensations new and thrilling. The deep, steady rhythm of human passion, the way his touch lingered, powerful and sure. Lyra responded with her own unique grace, guiding him through her world of subtle touch and delicate sensation. The night was a revelation, an exquisite blend of contrasts. Where she was light and whisper, he was heat and storm. Where she was finesse and nuance, he was strength and endurance. Together they forged a connection that neither expected, an intimacy that bridged species and shattered old boundaries. But it wasn't just physical. In their closeness, they shared thoughts and feelings, fears, hopes, the weight of their duties, and the thrill of discovery. Jack realized that beneath her serene exterior, Lyra carried the heavy burden of her people's future. And Lyra saw, in Jack, a strength and passion that gave her hope. As dawn's first light filtered through the crystalline dome, they lay together, bodies entwined but minds soaring. For the first time, Jack understood what made the Starborn unique, not just their grace or telepathy, but their capacity for deep connection. And Lyra felt something stir within her that no Starborn had felt in centuries. The wild, unrestrained fire of human desire, fierce and unyielding. This was more than a meeting of two species. It was the beginning of a journey that would challenge everything they knew about love, loyalty, and what it meant to be alive in a vast, cold universe. And neither Jack nor Lyra would ever be the same again. Jack Ryden quickly learned that diplomacy with the Starborn Confederacy came with its own unique set of rules, many of which weren't found in any human manual. Their culture was built on subtlety, on an intricate web of unspoken gestures, telepathic nuances, and rituals older than most stars. For Jack, a man used to blunt orders and direct action, this new world was both fascinating and frustrating. One afternoon, Lyra invited him to witness one of their most sacred ceremonies, an event called the Whispering Veil. It was a private ritual of intimacy and trust, a slow, deliberate dance of minds and bodies designed to deepen connection between partners. Jack watched as Lyra moved with fluid elegance, her forearms weaving delicate patterns in the air, her voice barely above a breath as she chanted in her native tongue. The Starborn placed great value on restraint, their physical expressions of love gentle, almost ethereal. Jack admired their grace, but he couldn't help but feel a spark of impatience. Humans, after all, were wired differently. Their passion was loud and insistent, a physical language that demanded expression. Later that evening, in the privacy of Lyra's quarters, the difference between them became impossible to ignore. Lyra's delicate body seemed almost fragile in Jack's strong arms, her touch tentative where his was bold. Yet, there was a beauty in her subtlety, a sensitivity that made every movement meaningful. Jack smiled, his voice low and teasing. You know, for all your elegance, I think you're underestimating what humans bring to the table. We don't just have stamina, we have, well, let's say, advantages that might surprise you. Lyra's violet eyes sparkled with curiosity and a hint of challenge. I have sensed as much. Your vitality is unlike anything my people have known in generations. Jack chuckled, the sound rich and warm. Yeah, we humans tend to be, how shall I put it, well endowed. It's part of the package. The conversation sparked a new kind of intimacy between them, one that combined humor, fascination, and a growing desire to explore those differences. Jack found himself drawn to Lyra's delicate form, wanting to show her that human passion wasn't just about size or endurance, but about connection, the deep, powerful bond that came from sharing oneself completely. As the days passed, their private meetings grew more frequent. They exchanged stories of their worlds and their people, discovering that despite their vast differences, there were surprising similarities. Both carried the heavy weight of responsibility, Lyra for the survival of her species, Jack for the safety of his crew and humanity's place in the stars. One evening, as the twin moons cast soft light across Lyra's quarters, Jack reached out and took her hand. His fingers were rough, calloused from years of command and battle, but gentle in their touch. Lyra responded by leaning into him, her breath catching at the contact. "You're unlike anyone I've met," Jack murmured. "And this, us, it's new territory for both of us." Lyra smiled, a slow, radiant curve of her lips. "New, yes, but necessary. My people face a decline, a loss of vigor and passion. You bring a fire that could rekindle what we have lost." Jack's heart quickened. "Then let's see where that fire takes us." Their first night together was a revelation. Jack's human body brought a boldness and strength that took Lyra by surprise. She had never known such depth of sensation. His touch was fierce yet tender, his stamina unmatched by any starborn. For her it was like waking from a long sleep, discovering colors and feelings she had only dreamed of. But the connection wasn't one-sided. Lyra's grace and sensitivity taught Jack new ways to give and receive pleasure. Delicate touches, whispered emotions, the dance of minds and bodies entwined. Together they created an intimacy that transcended their biology, blending the best of both worlds. Yet, the difference in their species' biology was impossible to ignore. Jack's size and strength dwarfed Lyra's delicate frame, a fact that sometimes made her nervous but also thrilled her. She found herself captivated by his raw vitality, the powerful pulse of humanity that surged beneath his calm exterior. Jack, in turn, was enchanted by her ethereal beauty and the way she opened herself to him, her trust a rare and precious gift. Their nights became a balance of wild passion and tender exploration, each teaching the other what it meant to truly connect beyond words. But beyond the bedroom, the political stakes loomed large. The Starborn Council watched with suspicion, wary of this human who challenged their traditions. Some whispered that Jack's boldness was reckless, a threat to their delicate balance. Others, like Lyra, saw a chance for renewal, a fusion of strength and grace that could save their fading species. Jack knew that winning over the council would not be easy, but with Lyra by his side, he felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Their relationship was more than romance. It was a symbol of hope, a bridge between worlds that could redefine what it meant to be alive in the galaxy. And as the stars shimmered outside the ship's windows, Jack and Lyra embraced their destiny, two souls blazing a trail through the cosmos, together. The days that followed were a whirlwind of diplomatic meetings, hushed conversations, and whispered doubts among the Starborn Council. Jack Ryden quickly realized that winning their trust was going to be far more complicated than any space battle he'd faced. The Starborn were a proud, ancient race, their traditions woven tightly into every aspect of their lives, and the idea of accepting a human not just as an ally but as something more intimate was stirring deep currents of unease. In the grand hall of the Starborn's floating city, Lyra stood before the council, her silver-blue skin shimmering under the ambient light. Her forearms moved with practiced grace as she addressed the assembly, her voice clear and unwavering. "My people must face a hard truth," she said. "Our strength is fading. Our delicate forms and restrained ways are no longer enough to secure the future we desire. Humanity, Captain Ryden and his people, bring a vitality and passion that we have long lost." A murmur ran through the crowd. Some elders exchanged skeptical glances. One of the council's oldest members, a tall figure draped in flowing robes of starlight silver, rose to speak. "Lyra, your affection for this human envoy is known," he said sharply. "But we must not forget who we are. The Starborn do not yield to primal urges. Our society depends on control, on harmony. To embrace such base passion risks everything." Jack stepped forward, his gaze steady and confident. "With all respect, elders, there's more to human passion than what you might think. Yes, we are passionate, fierce even, but that passion is also a source of strength, resilience, and deep connection. It's part of why humanity has thrived in the harshest conditions." He looked around the hall, letting his words settle. "I know my species is different from yours. Our bodies are larger, our desires more urgent. But those differences are not weaknesses, they are advantages. In intimacy and in life, They can help your people survive, thrive. Lyra reached out, placing a hand gently on Jack's arm, a silent show of solidarity that didn't go unnoticed. One elder, younger, and more open-minded, nodded thoughtfully. There is truth in what you say, Captain. The Starborn have long suffered declining numbers, and our traditions may no longer serve us as they once did. Perhaps it is time for change, guided by strength and passion. The debate grew heated, voices rising in both support and opposition. Some feared losing their identity, others saw hope in this unlikely alliance. The Council's ancient telepathic bonds allowed them to sense each other's fears and desires, and the tension was palpable. Jack understood that this was more than politics. It was a test of values and survival. His own biology, which had first sparked Lyra's interest, was now a symbol of something greater, a chance for renewal. In the days that followed, Jack and Lyra worked tirelessly, bridging divides with personal meetings, shared stories, and moments of vulnerability that touched even the most stubborn council members. Jack's candidness about human strength and his respectful curiosity about starborn ways began to break down walls. Lyra confided in Jack. During a quiet evening, her voice soft but determined. Your presence here is more than diplomacy. You are a living promise of change. But change requires sacrifice. From both our peoples. Jack took her hands in his, feeling the fragile pulse beneath her skin. I'm ready for that. Whatever it takes. Yet, beneath their growing bond, the biological differences remained undeniable. Jack's size, endurance, and raw vigor were subjects of both admiration and concern among the Starborn. Their bodies, delicate and sensitive, were unaccustomed to the physical intensity humans naturally wielded. But it was precisely this intensity that promised to reignite lost vitality. In private moments, Jack showed Lyra what human passion meant, not just in strength but in connection. He taught her that intimacy could be both powerful and tender, a dance of give and take that strengthened bonds beyond the physical. Lyra, in turn, introduced Jack to the subtle art of starborn closeness. The way their telepathic connection added layers of emotional depth to their encounters, turning every touch into a conversation between souls. Together, they forged a new path, blending strength and grace, fire and light. Their relationship became a symbol of hope, a living proof that two vastly different species could not only coexist but thrive, bound by love and mutual respect. The Council's final decision loomed, a vote that could open the door to a new era or slam it shut forever. Jack and Lyra prepared, knowing the future of the Starborn, and perhaps the galaxy, hung in the balance. Whatever happened, one thing was certain. Their story was only beginning, and the fire between them burned brighter than ever. The night of the Starbloom Festival arrived like a shimmering promise, casting the entire Starborn ship in an otherworldly glow. Twin moons hung low in the sky, their pale light reflecting off crystalline towers and floating gardens that drifted gently through the air. The festival was a celebration of life, love, and renewal, a time when the Starborn opened their hearts and minds to the possibilities of connection beyond tradition. Lyra stood at the center of the grand hall, dressed in flowing robes of silver and deep violet that caught the light with every subtle movement. Her skin gleamed softly and her eyes sparkled with a mixture of anticipation and nervous excitement. Jack Ryden approached quietly, his presence solid and grounding amid the ethereal splendor. You look stunning, Jack said, his voice low and sincere, like a star come to life. Lyra smiled, a warm blush tinting her cheeks. Thank you, Jack. Tonight the Starborn honor the bonds that unite us, between mind, body, and spirit. It is fitting that you are here. The ceremony began with soft music, notes that seemed to echo from the very fabric of the universe. Guests from across the Starborn Confederacy gathered, their elegant forms shimmering like liquid light. Lyra took Jack's hand, her forearms weaving a delicate pattern in the air, a gesture of invitation and trust. As they moved through the ritual, Jack felt the weight of ancient traditions blending with the electric charge of something new and daring. When the moment came for partners to share the Veil of Stars, a sacred dance symbolizing unity and vulnerability, Jack and Lyra stepped forward together. Their bodies moved in harmony, the contrast between Jack's powerful human form and Lyra's delicate grace creating a mesmerizing balance. The dance was more than movement, it was a dialogue, a weaving of energies that transcended words. Around them, the crowd watched in silent awe as two worlds converged. Later, in the privacy of Lyra's quarters, the night deepened into something more intimate and uncharted. Jack's hands, strong and confident, explored the fragile contours of her body, awakening sensations that the Starborn rarely experienced so fully. Lyra responded with a tenderness that was uniquely her own, guiding him with subtle gestures and telepathic whispers that spoke of trust and wonder. Jack's human biology revealed itself in all its surprising glory, his size, his stamina, the way his passion seemed endless and consuming. Lyra, with her sensitive form, surrendered to the intensity, discovering a pleasure that was both overwhelming and exquisitely new. Their connection was a fusion of fire and light, raw strength and delicate beauty. For Lyra, the experience was a revelation. "Your touch," she whispered, breathless. "It stirs something ancient and powerful within me." I had forgotten how alive desire could be. Jack smiled, brushing a stray lock of silver-blue hair from her face. "We humans tend to live loud and bold, but that's because we know how precious these moments are." Their night together was not just about passion, it was about breaking boundaries, rewriting the rules of connection between species. It was a declaration that love and desire could bridge the vastest divides, that biology, no matter how different, could unite rather than separate. As dawn approached, the twins' moon's gentle light bathed them in a soft glow. They lay entwined, hearts beating in sync, minds sharing thoughts and dreams in the silent language of the Starborn. The future stretched out before them, a path neither could have imagined, forged by courage, curiosity, and an undeniable bond. But beyond their private world, the galaxy waited, watching, wondering, and ready to be changed forever by the union of human fire and Starborn grace. The glow of the Starbloom Festival still lingered in the air, a shimmering memory that danced in Jack's mind as he faced the reality of what lay ahead. The union. Between him and Lyra had sparked hope, but it also ignited fears that rippled through both their peoples. The Starborn Council was divided, their ancient traditions clashing with the promise of change. On Earth and throughout human space, whispers of suspicion and caution grew louder, warning that this alliance might be reckless. In a quiet chamber aboard the Starborn ship, Jack and Lyra met to confront the weight of their choices. The room was softly lit, filled with fragrant blooms that mirrored the festival's colors, yet the tension between them was palpable. "We knew it wouldn't be easy," Lyra said, her voice steady, but tinged with sadness. "Our people fear losing what makes us Starborn. They see your passion as a threat to our delicate balance." Jack nodded, running a hand through his hair. "And humanity isn't exactly united either. Some see this as progress, others as a dangerous gamble. But what about us? What do we want?" Lyra reached out, her fingers brushing his. "I want to build something real, with you. To prove that our differences can be strengths, not barriers." Jack's jaw tightened. "Then we need a plan. If we're going to survive this, we have to show that our bond isn't just personal. It's vital. That together, we can forge a future stronger than either of us alone." Their conversation was interrupted by a message from the Starborn Council. A vote was scheduled, one that could either cement their alliance or tear it apart. The stakes couldn't be higher. In the days that followed, Jack and Lyra worked tirelessly. They held meetings with council members, human diplomats, and other key figures sharing their vision of a united future. Jack's raw charisma and honesty won some over. Lyra's unwavering dedication softened even the most skeptical hearts. Yet resistance remained fierce. Traditionalists warned that embracing human passion would erode Starborn culture. Human factions feared losing autonomy to alien influence. The political landscape was a minefield. Amidst the turmoil, Jack made a bold proposal, a joint exploration and colonization mission where humans and Starborn would build a new world together, a living symbol of their unity. The idea sparked excitement and hesitation in equal measure. Lyra stood beside him as they presented the plan. "This mission is more than exploration," she said. "It is our chance to create a home where our peoples can grow, where passion and grace coexist, where our children will inherit a legacy of strength and love." The council debated long into the night, voices rising and falling like waves. When the final vote was cast, the result was narrow but decisive. The alliance would move forward. Relief washed over Jack and Lyra, but they knew the journey was only beginning. Together, they prepared to lead their peoples into uncharted space, carrying the hopes of two species intertwined by desire, duty, and the promise of something greater. As they stood side by side gazing out at the stars beyond the ship's windows, Jack whispered, "No matter what comes next, I'm ready. With you." Lyra smiled, her eyes shining. "As am I. Together, we will light the darkness." And so, with hearts aflame and futures entwined, they set course for the unknown. A new dawn for humanity, the Starborn, and a love that would challenge the very fabric of the galaxy. Years passed like stardust, drifting across the endless void. And aboard the starship Unity, Jack Ryden and Lyra built not just a mission but a home. The ship itself was a marvel of hybrid design, human ruggedness fused with Starborn elegance, a floating testament to their union. Together, they forged a new world beyond the reaches of old politics and prejudice, where two species could thrive, as one. Their children, beautiful hybrids who bore the shimmering skin and empathic gifts of the Starborn, combined with the robust vitality and physical strength of humanity, were living proof of what was possible. These children embodied a new legacy, a blending of worlds that promised not just survival but a future brighter than any star. Jack watched as his eldest daughter, a girl with violet eyes and a human's fierce determination, played among the glowing gardens of the Unity, her laughter ringing through the corridors like music. Lyra stood beside him, her forearms gently resting on his shoulder, a quiet smile touching her lips. "We've come farther than I ever imagined," she whispered. Jack nodded, his heart full. "And it's only the beginning. We're changing the galaxy, one step, one heartbeat at a time." The tale of their journey had spread across star systems, inspiring hope and challenging old fears. The Starborn Confederacy, once resistant, now embraced the strength found in human passion and resilience. Humans, too, had opened their minds and hearts to the beauty of Starborn grace and empathy. Together, they had become a beacon, a symbol of unity forged in fire and light. One evening, as the Unity sailed through the nebula-lit skies of their new home, Jack and Lyra stood hand in hand watching the swirling colors dance beyond the panoramic windows. "Do you ever think about how it all began?" Jack asked, a teasing glint in his eyes. Lyra smiled softly. "How a stubborn human captain challenged an ancient race to see beyond themselves." Jack laughed, his voice warm and full of affection. "And how a delicate Starborn envoy learned that sometimes strength comes in unexpected forms." Their lips met in a kiss, fierce, tender, and full of the promise that had carried them this far. In that moment, they were more than two beings, from different worlds. They were one, a living testament to the power of love, biology, and courage. The galaxy was vast and full of mysteries, but Jack and Lyra knew this truth. Where there is passion, respect, and a willingness to embrace difference, no star was too distant, no challenge too great. Humanity's fire had met Starborn light, and together they would shine forever.